Across the United States, laws have long protected endangered species from harm. The Endangered Species Act of 1973 was created to prevent the extinction of animals at risk. It has saved species like the bald eagle, the gray wolf, and the American alligator from disappearing forever. But today, some states are pushing to loosen these protections. Shockingly, legislation is being introduced that could make it legal to hunt or kill endangered animals. For conservationists, this is a nightmare scenario. How did we get to this point where the very animals meant to be protected are now being targeted? The controversy stems from the ongoing battle between federal conservation laws and state-level control. Many state governments argue that they should have the right to manage their own wildlife. They claim that federal protections often interfere with economic interests, such as farming, ranching, and land development. Some states argue that certain endangered species have recovered enough to justify hunting them again. But wildlife experts warn that lifting protections could push some species right back to the brink of extinction. One of the most controversial cases involves the gray wolf. After decades of federal protection, gray wolves were removed from the endangered species list in 2020. Almost immediately, states like Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming passed laws allowing the hunting of wolves. In some cases, these laws have authorized the killing of up to 90% of the wolf population in certain areas. This has sparked outrage among conservationists, who warn that uncontrolled hunting could devastate wolf populations. But wolves are not the only species at risk. Other animals, such as grizzly bears, mountain lions, and even some types of sea turtles, could also face similar threats. In states like Alaska, proposed laws would allow the hunting of certain endangered marine mammals. In Texas, some lawmakers have pushed for the right to hunt ocelots, one of the rarest cats in North America. Only around 100 ocelots remain in the wild in the United States. Yet some politicians argue that landowners should have the right to kill them if they are seen as a nuisance. Meanwhile, in Florida, developers have lobbied to weaken protections for endangered manatees. Manatees face increasing threats from boat strikes, pollution, and habitat destruction. But if these protections are lifted, manatees could be at even greater risk. In the Midwest, concerns are growing about the fate of the whooping crane. With fewer than 900 individuals left, these rare birds rely on federal protections to survive. Yet, some state officials argue that these birds should be managed as part of regular hunting regulations. In Arizona and New Mexico, debates have raged over the Mexican gray wolf. This subspecies of gray wolf once roamed freely across the Southwest, but was nearly wiped out by hunting. Now, with only about 200 wolves left in the wild, conservationists fear that new state laws could reverse decades of recovery efforts. Proponents of lifting these protections often argue that certain animals pose threats to livestock and human activities. Ranchers claim that wolves, bears, and mountain lions kill their cattle and disrupt their businesses. Some fishermen argue that seals and sea lions eat too many fish, hurting the seafood industry. But environmental scientists say that these predators play essential roles in their ecosystems. Wolves help control deer populations, preventing overgrazing and keeping forests healthy. Mountain lions regulate prey species and prevent ecological imbalances. Manatees help maintain seagrass beds, which are vital for marine ecosystems. Removing protections for these animals could trigger unexpected consequences for entire ecosystems. The economic debate has further complicated the issue. Some argue that hunting endangered animals could generate revenue through special permits. They claim that regulated hunting programs could fund conservation efforts. But history shows that this approach often leads to population declines rather than recovery. In states where hunting bans have been lifted on certain species, populations have struggled to remain stable. Conservation groups worry that making it legal to kill endangered animals will set a dangerous precedent. If one state succeeds in removing protections, others may follow. Already, lawmakers in multiple states have introduced bills to challenge federal conservation laws. Some of these proposals seek to transfer wildlife management authority from federal agencies to state governments. If successful, this could lead to a patchwork of different regulations across the country. Certain states might choose to keep protections in place, while others could open the door to widespread hunting. This could create chaos in conservation efforts, making it harder to enforce nationwide protections. The debate has reached the highest levels of government. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service continues to fight against these state-level rollbacks. Many conservation groups have taken legal action to block new hunting laws. In 2022, a federal judge reinstated protections for gray wolves in some states after lawsuits from environmental organizations. But the fight is far from over. With each new legislative session, more proposals emerge to weaken protections for endangered animals. The political divide over conservation has made it difficult to find common ground. Some politicians insist that states should have more control over their wildlife policies. Others argue that endangered species protection should remain a national priority. Public opinion is also divided. Many people oppose the idea of killing endangered animals, but some support regulated hunting programs. A growing number of Americans believe that economic interests should not come at the expense of wildlife survival. The question remains, will these states succeed in their efforts to legalize the killing of endangered species? If they do, what will be the long-term impact on wildlife populations? Experts warn that losing just a few key species could have ripple effects across entire ecosystems. Scientists have studied past extinctions and found that removing top predators can lead to cascading effects on nature. This is known as trophic collapse, where the disappearance of one species leads to the decline of many others. For example, when wolves were removed from Yellowstone National Park, deer populations skyrocketed. Without predators, deer overgrazed vegetation, damaging forests and reducing biodiversity. Only when wolves were reintroduced did the ecosystem begin to recover. If protections are lifted for other predators, similar disasters could occur in different ecosystems. Some conservationists fear that legalizing the killing of endangered animals could send the wrong message globally. The United States has long been seen as a leader in wildlife conservation. If U.S. states weaken protections, other countries might follow suit. This could threaten international conservation agreements and set back decades of progress. On the other hand, some policymakers claim that conservation efforts must be balanced with human needs. They argue that communities living near protected species should have more say in how those animals are managed. But wildlife advocates insist that survival should take precedence over short-term economic concerns. At the heart of this debate is a fundamental question. Do humans have the right to decide which species live or die based on convenience? As the battle over endangered species protections continues, time is running out for many of these animals. Each year, more species inch closer to extinction due to habitat loss, climate change, and human activities. We stand at a crossroads where our decisions today will determine the future of countless species. Will we continue to protect these animals, or will we allow them to be hunted in the name of economic interests? The answer will shape the fate of America's wildlife for generations to come. If these states succeed in legalizing the killing of endangered animals, we may soon be telling stories of species that once roamed freely, but are now gone forever. This is more than a legal battle. It is a battle for the future of life itself.